Почва была раскисшей.
The tanks tried to climb the Zelov heights, but the slope was 45 degrees. They couldn't get further than 5 or 10 yards before the trucks lost their grip and the tanks slid back down.
Zhukov's tanks charge across the Oderbruch, the swamp in the bend of the river Oder, churn it up so that the artillery in particular have difficulty advancing. So in order desperately to try to stick to the timetable imposed by Stalin, Zhukov screws up his own front.
By the end of day one, the German defenders have suffered terrible losses from a barrage of more than 1 million shells and rockets. Every minute they can hold Zhukov's armies on the Oder spares the capital city of the Third Reich from becoming a kill zone. April 17th, 1945, day 2 of the Battle of Berlin. The Red Army's last offensive to crush Nazi Germany is in trouble. The assault divisions of Marshal Georgy Zhukov's 1st Belarusian Front are trapped in a kill zone below Berlin's outer defenses along the Zelo Heights. The ridge above them has been turned into a maze of tank traps, bunkers, and machine gun nests. But Marshal Zhukov is determined to punch through the German line and reach the heart of Berlin. He turns to aerial reconnaissance to find the weak point in the Zelo Heights defenses. The town of Zelo is the central bastion of the German line. Soviet ground attack bombers target gun positions and fortified buildings, while the artillery pounds the line with rockets and shells. Tank crewman Zufar Sardardinov is sent forward to scout out a new route to the ridge.
As
soon as we came over the skyline, the Germans started shelling the area with mortars. And the first shell exploded by the captain who was on my right. I lost consciousness, and when I came round, I saw the captain lying there dead.
The next attack goes in, but German 88mm guns take out Soviet tanks at long range, and infantrymen stalk them among the splintered pine trees with deadly tank-busting Panzerfaust. 152 Soviet tanks are destroyed in this relentless battle of attrition. At 3 p.m., German aircraft launch suicidal attacks on the Red Army bridges over the River Oder. But swarms of Soviet fighter planes drive the last of Goering's once mighty Luftwaffe from the skies. As the Soviet attacks continue, Adolf Hitler tries to inspire his troops with his own creed of hate.
In these hours, the whole German nation looks to you, my Eastern warriors, and hopes only that by your resolution, your fanaticism, your weapons, and under your leadership, the Bolshevik assault will be drowned in a bloodbath.
Stalin's paranoia convinces him that the Western Allies may still try to beat him to Berlin. He pressures Zhukov and his rival Marshal Konev into an all-out race for the city.
Stalin has taken his 2 best generals, Zhukov and Konev, and he's using them like 2 leashed guard dogs, racing against each other towards Berlin. And every time Konev looks like he's winning, Stalin will pull back a little bit on Konev and let Zhukov catch up. So you have these 2 attack dogs who are fighting their way towards Berlin, barely under the control of Stalin, the puppet master.
50 miles south of the Zelo Heights, Konev's tanks are pushing forward. Soviet aircraft blast a path ahead of them through the burning forests. When they reach the next German line southeast of Berlin, along the River Spree, the tanks charge across and shatter the weak German defenses. At midnight, Konev orders his armies to bypass any pockets of resistance and head north toward Berlin and northwest to cut the roads leading out of the city. 50 miles north, Desperate to get back in the race, Zhukov orders his men to attack and take the Zelo position.
Our soldiers were very eager to fight. It was amazing. Everyone knew that perhaps it was one of the last battles of the war. But they were running into combat, ignoring the flying bullets and grenades and paying no attention to the fact that they could be killed or injured.
By 6:45 p.m., the Germans have had enough. Whole divisions begin to disintegrate, and the survivors are driven back into Berlin and the forests south of the city. Zhukov finally has the open road to Berlin that he has been demanding for 4 days. His armies are 37 miles from the city center, but the carnage has been terrible.
At Zelo Heights, the Soviets lose something like 30,000, while the Germans lose 10,000. And for an army that is fundamentally defeated, that's very good work by the Germans.
The race is on between Zhukov and Konyev. While Konyev's men close on Berlin from the south, Zhukov orders his armies to strike in from the east and encircle the city from the north. At 10 a.m. that morning, bombs rain down on the city from the last Allied 1,000-bomber raid.
The first air raid siren signaled bombers approaching. It was a long, steady note. Then came the rising and falling wail, which you would never forget for the rest of your life. When the bombs landed, the ground rocked, and you were always afraid, if the house collapses, that will be the end. They won't be able to get us out.
When the raid is over, the Nazi High Command holds a special parade to celebrate Adolf Hitler's 56th birthday. In his last public appearance, he awards medals for the fighting in the East. The leader of the Third Reich is placing his hopes in the fanatical dedication of teenage boys.
These swine are trying to destroy us. Our rage grew more and more intense, and in such a situation, when the enemy appears, you kill him. It's him or me. Hopefully, I will be faster. That's what was in your mind. My mind, at least.
Je dichter die russische Front kam, the closer the Russian front came, the more tense I felt. It wasn't fear, but a feeling that now they are coming. Now we'll see what I can do against them. Was ich dazu? I never felt like hiding. Without making myself out to be a hero, the closer the danger came, the more exciting the situation became for me.
As the Soviet armies close around Berlin, orders go out to these boys and their grandfathers to turn the city into a super Stalingrad that will be the grave of the Soviet army. April 21st, 1945. In the Berlin suburb of Marzahn, Soviet artillerymen prepare to fire an historic barrage. Shells are painted with slogans like, "For Stalingrad," and "For the Laus Goebbels." At exactly 9:30 a.m., their guns crash into action. The shells fly 10 miles to smash down into the center of Berlin. For the first time in the war, the heart of Hitler's Third Reich is within range of ground fire. The Soviet army is on its doorstep.
Kommt ja so plötzlich, man weiß es ja nicht, man sieht ja nicht.
The shells came so suddenly, you couldn't hear them.
Vorher bei den Luftangriffen hörte man nicht.
During the bombing raids, you could hear the bombs whistling down before they exploded.
Wenn man sie hört,
When you can hear them, you can get into cover. If you can't hear them, it's too late.
ja,
You're scared and shocked, so it's a case of get under cover immediately, take cover.
Volle Deckung.